Materim here with another Southern Assault preparation game. I am matching my Saurian Ancients versus Michael's Highborn Elves. We are replicating the second game of that scenario, which is the Encircle. It's the deployment where one of you is the attacker and one of you is the defender. Um, and we're doing 4,500 points, obviously, and the objective is capture the flags. And as always, or at least lately, we have been using the boards set up from the Ninth Age forum site. So getting on to Michael's deployment, up front, he has a unit of 10 Alien Reavers, I believe they're called, the fast cab. Behind that, he has one of his Lion Chariots. Then he has 15 Lions Guard that are skirmishers with the Banner of Speed. Then another Lion Chariot. Then 10 Queen's Guard with Musician and Standard. Behind them is his Sky Sloop with the Sky Reaper. Then he has a unit of 30 Citizen Spears with full command. Next to that is a unit of 20 Lion Guard with full command and the War Banner of Rima. In with them is his commander, Battle Standard Bearer with the Royal Huntsman Honor, the Armor of Destiny, a Great Sword, and a Longbow. Next to that is 15 Citizen Archers with a Musician. And with them is his general, a mage who's a wizard master with 4 spells to divination and the Book of Miladis. And then up on the hill, he has 2 Sea Guard Reapers. Okay, so for me, I'm trying something different. I know those Lions Guard are very dangerous, particularly with the character in it. So I want to avoid them. I'm really kind of nervous about dealing with them. So my idea is I'm going to try and avoid them and go for his soft targets and just kind of beat him on points. It's pretty different from how I normally play, but it may be a good skill to build up for the use in the tournament. So I'm trying it here. Here is yet another Saurian build that I'm trying. I'm still not narrowed it down, but I wanted to give this a go and see how it works. So, starting on the left, I have a Spearback. Next to that is 32 Saurian warriors with full command, spears, shields, and the Serpent Warriors upgrade. Next to that is 20 Temple Guard with full command and the Rending Banner. In with them is my Quaddle Lord, who has the Jade Staff and Unconquerable Will, and he is a Wizard Master with 4 spells to Divination as well, so we got both divinations going on. Then I have a Taurosaur with the Engine of the Ancients. Behind that is a Stygiosaur. Then up top I've got a Veteran on a Firstborn, or on a Raptor, with the Bluffer's Helm, Talisman of Shielding, and a Great Weapon. Then I've got 1 unit of 6 Skink Hunters with Blowpipes. Behind that is a unit of 5 Skink Hunters with Blowpipes. Behind that is a unit of 5 Caimans with full command and halberds. Behind that is a unit of 20 skinks with, 15 skinks with bows. And then I've got another Spearback holding down that flank. The idea is I wanted to put all my sort of chaffy things on this side to just tie his big unit of melee stuff up, and then I'm going to use these bigger blocks I've got to go forward and go for his softer stuff. Maybe I would risk hitting the skirmishing Lions Guard with the Saurians and just hope to drown them in bodies, but I'm kind of hoping to see where I can go. Big problem here is that I rolled badly for magic. And so really the only good spell I got out of Divination that's going to help me here is I got Scrying, and I've got the Stars Align, so maybe I can use some of my shooting to deal with stuff. But I'm definitely not thinking that the magic is going to help me out here overly much. So Michael had dropped his whole army turn 1, or at the first, so he gets turn 1. he seems to be wanting to put pressure on me. He's running his Reavers up front. He knows I've got more chappy things than him, so I think he's going to use some of his shooting to try and get rid of him, which I certainly understand. And frankly, it's not bad for me that he's going to do that because it'll keep him from shooting some of my bigger blocks. So that's the ultimate hope there. But other than that, he's just coming on pretty good. He's outranging me, so he can leave the range targets behind. I was also stupid and picked basically his 3 units that he's going to leave way in the back as the ones I need to kill for the scenario. He is trying to kill my Caimans, my Skinks with bows, and my Temple Guard unit for his part of the scenario. So you can see here he starts bringing the archers down the hill as well because he realizes they're going to be out of range if they stay up there. He ends up getting scrying off on the Lion's Guard. I don't really care. I stopped a couple other spells, and he can kind of have that one. Then his shooting goes off and ends up killing all but one of the Skinks from the front unit, but it doesn't panic, so it stays there, and for my purposes, 1 Skink is just as good a chaff as 6, so I'm still okay with that. My turn 1, I start moving up here on the left, sweeping in. That piece of terrain that's in front of my Taurosaur, we're playing it as impassable, which is going to bring me huge problems. I was basically trying to use it to be able to keep him off of me and protect some of the flanks of my bigger units, but I didn't space myself right, so I'm going to end up hitting a little bit of a choke point here that, sad to say, is self-inflicted. I also went ahead and threw that Skink up front just to kind of taunt him. I'm hoping he actually comes for it with the Ellie and Reavers. It'd be easy points for him, but it would put those guys in a pretty good counter charge place. And then over here, I start spreading everything out. I want to use my spearbacks to shoot the Reavers. And I'm getting my other Skink unit prepared to start chaffing up his Lion's Guard. The other thing I'm wanting to do is once I can get his Lion's Guard close enough to me so that it's safe, I want to run the Stygiosaur out and around that flank and go after his bolt throwers on the hill, because other than that, I don't really have any answer for them. Do some shooting, manage to kill 2 of the Reavers. And then we go into Highborn Elves turn 2, and he takes the bait and goes for it. I think he still figures I'm far enough back where he'll be able to pick up these easy points and then flee if I charge him anyway, which is probably not a bad call. I am a good ways away. So at least this way it's tying those guys up so they're not shooting anything. So that's a little something. And everything else moves up like this. He brings the Lion Guard up to hug the wall. I don't know if they're quite close enough for me to break out the Stygiosaur yet, but everything else is coming on pretty nicely. Then he starts doing some shooting and figures the Caimans are the next big target, so starts plugging away at them. And then without worrying much about it, he blows the Skink unit away completely, but nobody panics, which frankly should be expected from the Saurians. And then in close combat, obviously he destroys the 1 remaining Skink there. And then actually chooses to overrun, which I thought was really kind of weird, unless he's trying to bait me out, thinking that he'll come get me and then I'll come get him and then he'll countercharge, which may very well be what he's aiming for. And then things go really my way. I decide to charge him with the spearback. He flees with the Reavers and rolls like garbage. I roll very well, and I catch and destroy the Reavers. So that was way better than I should have expected. But super happy to pick up a lot of points early on for very little effort. Everything else moves up as you see here. Again, the big problem is I'm getting stuck there between my Saurian block and that impassable terrain, and it's going to cause me all sorts of problems, I think. And now I figure I go ahead, and if I can take a long run, I figure I'm going to go ahead. Otherwise, I won't have any chance. And if he decides to turn the Lion's Guard to come get the Stygiosaur, at least it'll keep them out of the fight for a while. So I figure no real loss there. Over here, I decided to start doing some shooting, so some magic would be good. Throw Stars Align on my Spearback in the back, hoping to get some damage on something over there. Then my Skinks in the back take some pot shots at these Spearmen and end up killing, looks like 4 of them. And then the Spearback with all the penalties, but the rerolls, still ends up killing 1 of the Lion's Guard over here, so that's not terrible. So Highborn Elves turn 3. Obviously, he takes his chariot into the front of my Spearback. I stood and shot and accomplished nothing. Over here, he starts bringing up the chariot and excuse me, and the other Lion Guard into the forest. I'm okay with this. If I can go ahead and just hit those Lion's Guard in the front with my Saurians, I think I can just, I'm going to lose a lot of them, but I figure I should be able to kill them back. At least that's the hope, and get them bad enough where I can get rid of that threat. If I do, I'm probably going to end up taking the chariot in the side, which could be problematic, but I'll have to deal with that as it comes. Over here, he has decided to ignore the Stygiosaur with the Lion's Guard and bring them on. He instead is sending the Sky Sloop to go shoot it to death. So I'm okay with that. I think the Sky Sloop is going to have a hard time killing me before I can get over there into the bolt throwers. And then, as if to try and prove me right, he shoots and only gets 1 wound on the Stygiosaur. And then the bolt throwers shoot over that and try and get the Taurosaur and only inflict a single wound on it between the 2 of them. Then the Queen's Guard up there managed to shoot at the Caimans and kill 1 of them. Naturally, the Spearback is no match for a Lion Chariot, and it dies, and he reforms into the front of the Caimans. I don't want really any part of that, so we'll see where it goes from here. And where it goes is amazing. Oh my god. So Startosaurus turn 3. I declare a charge with the Big Saurus block at his Lion's Guard. They choose to flee. They run. They're still within range of the Spearback. It declares a charge basically just to try and push him off the table, and I get him within 2 inches of the edge of the table. Then, once that's declared, I declare a charge with the Temple Guard into the flank of the chariot because I could see it and could make the wheel past the impassable. He chooses to runs over just to the right of where that Citizen Spear block is, which is like an 11 on a roll for me to charge him with the Caimans. So I declare that charge, figuring that he would bounce through the Queen's Guard and run off the table. Well, he does bounce through the Queen's Guard. He also took 2 dangerous terrain, I think, from when he ran through the edge of the water. Hit the Queen's Guard. They panicked and run off the table. So, this turn of charges could literally not have been any better if I had fixed the dice. Because this whole flank just collapsed in the span of a few leadership role, or one leadership role and some choices to flee. Um, so I don't know if it was bad choices on my opponent's turn, or just that was fortunate to be able to do the multiple charges and push him so far back. But this is awesome. I mean, the Queen's Guard is a lot of points, and it certainly is going to help me in the scoring a little bit and then keeping away aim that I'm doing. Also, because that was one of the units that I chose for Capture the Flag, I'm ahead in the objective right now, which is super awesome. Then I decided to go ahead and do a bunch of magic. I had charged with the spear back in the front, but I figure he's going to try and charge that with his chariot, so I go ahead and throw Stars Align on it and miscast, costing me 2 of my Temple Guard. I also throw Healing Waters on the Taurosaur to go ahead and get the regen up and heal the wound off of it. And then we go into Highborn Elf turn 4, and he does exactly like I thought he would. Charges the spear back, I stand and shoot, and thanks to the rerolls, I destroy the chariot as it's coming in. So, super good there. And then he fails to rally the Lion's Guard, and they run off the board. So, the leadership of the Highborn Elves is just not working for my opponent this game at all. He does rally the Lion's Chariot, though I'm sure he would have rather this fleet and he kept the Lion's Guard, but what you gonna do? Over here, he is continuing to push up with his ground units and continuing to follow my Stygiosaur with his Sky Sloop. The Stygiosaur, I didn't show him moving last turn, but he's up on that hill that you can barely see. Excuse me, on the off the right of the screen. Ah, there he is. So yeah, he does some shooting. The Stygiosaur is up to 3 wounds taken out of its 5. I'm still hoping I can keep him alive long enough to hit the the bolt throwers that are just on the hill. I need, if I measured it, I believe I need a 10 on the charge to get them. So a little bit long, but possible. He does some shooting over here, trying to get him some easy points. Kills one of the skinks. You can also see where my Caimans ended up. I forgot to mention this a little earlier. He actually, this turn, tried to charge the Caimans in the flank with his Lion's Guard, and I chose to flee rather than deal with them, and he failed the charge and didn't go very far. So, Saurian Ancients turn 4. I do succeed the charge into the bolt throwers and manage to angle myself so that if I kill that one, I will overrun into the other one. I rally my Caimans. And I start moving up here. I manage to get the spear back so that it is just within 18 inches of the chariot there, so I'm figuring I can go ahead and pick those points up. And I actually move my BSB out a little, hoping that he'll try and come for it, so I can set up some counter charges. I don't know if he's going to, and I probably should have moved him out a little further if that was my intention, but it is what it is. The other thing I find that I'm doing in this game, which probably isn't great, is I'm not using the Taurosaur effectively. I'm using it like if it was one of the Empire's buff wagons. So I'm keeping it back just for that protection against shooting, when I really should be using it as a more upfront damage causer. But it is a lot of points, and I'm trying to keep those points for my opponent, so I guess I could be playing it worse, too. So we go on some magic. I get Stars Align on the Spearback again. I get Healing Waters from the Jade Staff on the BSB. And then I shoot and blow the chariot up with the Spearback. Then the Skinks do some more bow fire and peel off 4 more of the Citizen Spears. And we screw this combat up royally. We actually did this combat and rolled to hit. So I actually flubbed all my hits and didn't kill the thing. We remember about a turn later, and we actually go back and fix it. So the real results of this is we basically re-rolled everything again. I do kill the one chariot, or the one bolt thrower, and I overrun into the second one, or at least that's what's supposed to happen here. Highborn Elf, turn 5. He squares up everything. He pretty much is giving his bolt throwers up for dead, so the sloop comes back in, and he starts chasing after my units at the bottom with his Lion's Guard. His wizard gets unerring strike off on my BSB, but between my crazy armor and the regen save I still have on him, he only gets 1 wound through. He gets Stars Align off. I don't remember if he got it off on his bowman or the sloop, but that's what it is. Then in close combat here, this is where we fix everything. I do end up killing the other bolt thrower in this close combat, so I got both of them without taking any other wounds. So my turn 5, I realize I'm not in a good position to deal with those Lion's Guard where they're coming, so I swift reform with both units and run like hell, which is perfect because he's nowhere close to getting the Caimans, and with me moving the Skinks like they are, the Skinks are 1 inch outside of his max charge range. So I have he's not going to be able to do anything with the Lion's Guard next turn, so I have completely kept them out of the game for 6 turns, which is a victory to me. Over here, the Stygiosaur comes down the hill. I figure maybe I can try and break the unit with his wizard in it and get some extra points. So I breathe spit on him and get 2 dead. So Highborn Elves, turn 6. He tries to charge... I don't remember if he tries to charge my BSB or my Spearback with his Citizen Spears. We were kind of debating one or the other. In either case, he missed both of them. It was a long charge anyway, but he was figuring I was up on points, so he might as well try and pick something up, but it just didn't work. He decides to turn the sloop around here and try and pick up the points for the Stygiosaur. And then he just reforms the Lion Guard because he realizes they've got nothing else to do. So he goes into shooting and only puts 1 more wound on the Stygiosaur, so he does not claim full points for it. He does some shooting and only, just because he rolls terrible, only gets 1 wound on the Spearback. So my turn, I decide one more time just to sneak forward and try and get shooting some points through on the archers. But with what little movement I have, I can't get around, so I'm taking massive penalties and don't manage to accomplish anything. And that is where the game comes to an end. So after we did the math, I had won with a 13-7 victory, but since I killed one of the flag units on his side and he did not kill any on my side, I got the scenario as well, so that turned into a 16-4 victory for the Saurian Ancients. This was definitely a very different game for me. I usually tend to be pretty forceful and just try and take points, but it's finally sinking into my head like how many points the scenarios are worth. It's a huge point swing, giving you 3 points and taking 3 points away from your opponent. So I really have to learn to be more aware of what I have to do, and sometimes like forsaking the big throwing units at each other to get those scenario wins. And I think it helped here. I certainly realized that the big point swing came from just those rapidly failed leadership checks. I took a chance bouncing him back that far, and it worked out for me. I certainly don't think I could do that like routinely. I shouldn't expect to be able to accomplish that, but it was nice. I like the Stygiasaur was quick enough to kind of get around things and go get his backfield, so I certainly like that. I'm not 100% sure on the Caimans yet. Excuse me. Mainly because, I mean, they've got a lot of wounds. They can do some damage. But they're slow enough that a lot of the stuff I might want to put them in are likely to kill them before I can swing. And I don't have any other models, so I can only field 5 of them in a row, or in a block. So I don't really know if they're going to stay in the list, frankly. The other thing I really have to pay more attention to is the spacing with these huge bricks. With going with so many Saurus, they're just big. I mean, the footprint is huge. I've got to watch out kind of my spacing around the impassables and between other units and stuff like that, and just learn to use them more effectively. I also don't know, I mean, and again, this game was weird because I was doing so much avoidance. I'm not 100% sold on the cowboy either, but I'll do some more thinking on that. I definitely I think next week I'm going to try one more list that uses evocation instead of divination. I keep saying I'm going to try that, but I haven't yet. And then just see where it goes. I have decided that if I'm going to take divination, I really need to take the quaddle ability that gives me Pathfinder, that lets me decide which spells I use. Because I got stuck with some stinkers here, and it did not help me much. So I'll have to kind of rebalance points and see where that goes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's definitely interesting getting into a different mindset. I hesitate to say a more serious mindset, but definitely a different one from how I play. And I hope you guys are enjoying this little journey I'm going on. I am locked into taking Saurian Ancients for the tournament, so you will see more of this army in the next coming weeks. It's a little less than a month from the tournament now, and I have to have my list locked in by the 8th. So I've got about 2 weeks left to determine that. So if you guys have any advice, any suggestions that might help, I am more than welcoming them. Just leave them in the comments below and we can chat about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you were entertained or amused, go to my Patreon and help support the channel and what we do. Any donation is more than welcome, and I strive to make good content for those of you who have already become my patrons, and I thank you for your patronage. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next one.